in a restaurant with a nice open terrace in Greenpoint. As I smoothly parked my pickup truck in front of it, I could hear my daughter, Emily's voice, who had arrived earlier.
That's my dad's car. He uses it for work.
Then, cutting her off, a man's raspy voice echoed.
Coming here in that kind of vehicle is so inappropriate. Is your father a high school graduate working in a factory?
Emily looked perplexed at his words. The owner of the raspy voice seemed to have had a few drinks already, grinning with a flushed face. It had been a while since I encountered someone who thought making such tasteless jokes was funny. After fixing a parking ticket to my pickup, I walked up to the man. I unbuttoned my freshly tailored jacket from the day before yesterday and presented my business card right under his red nose with utmost calm and friendliness. Here, I'm the president of a factory with an annual revenue of $50 million. Jack appeared taken aback. He was frantically searching the company name on my business card on his smartphone. No wonder. In Jack's worldview, someone who rides in a pickup couldn't possibly have a higher status than himself. Then, as if introducing myself, I began to recount my life story, answering his questions. My name is Victor. I'm a 63-year-old factory owner. The factory has grown significantly over the years, and so has the number of employees, but it took a lot of twists and turns to get to where I can talk about it like this. The story goes back to my childhood. Born as the son of a poor textile mill owner in the Midwest, I spent my childhood in hunger. I was born in the 1960s, a time when inexpensive and durable cotton products were being produced in large quantities in the U.S., causing the value of traditional textile mills to plummet. With that income, we couldn't make ends meet for the whole family, and there were times when my father had to kill a chicken that came into our yard to provide for our dinner that day. I was ordered by my father to do it several times, and the sound and the feel of it are still with me, making me recall those moments whenever I see chicken meat. One day, when my parents could no longer bear it on the factory's income alone, they started saying they were going to a community meeting, leaving me at home and not returning until late at night. The next morning, I would find a pile of flyers at the entrance. They were flyers for an invitation to join a new religious movement. Looking back, I think they were getting paid incentives by the cult for working as recruiters. What started as a recruitment effort for survival gradually consumed my parents' spirits. Every election, my mother would repeat in a frenzy,
Believers will be saved. So, if you vote for that party, everything will be saved.
That's right. If you give up your desires, you'll be liberated. So, you too.
It was always like this. No way could I have a proper life in such a home. I needed to leave.
I'm thinking of leaving.
Why, aren't you happy just being here?
I'm just fed up.
Don't you lack faith? Did you do your duty today? If you do your duty, you won't have to think about unnecessary things.
I'm leaving anyway.
Saying that, I packed my things and stormed out of the house. It was the night of an 18-year-old, just a bit away from graduating high school. The spring wind was blowing fiercely. It wasn't that I had nowhere to go. I had jotted down my uncle's address and phone number in my notes. My uncle, living in Fresno, was single but had been concerned about our family since I was young.
Whenever something comes up, give me a call. I feel like I understand what you're going through.
My uncle often told me that. Entering a phone booth, I dialed his number with trembling fingers, and his gruff voice answered.
Hello.
Hello, who's this?
It's Victor.
Victor. What's going on at this hour?
Well, I've run away from home.
There was a brief silence as if my uncle was thinking, but then he said,
Got it. Come to my place. I'll take care of you.
Soon after, I took a slow train to Fresno and ended up rolling into my uncle's house. My uncle was an electrician by trade and was often out during the day. The house was scattered with various tools and parts, like wire cutters and wrenches. What caught my eye, however, was a box-shaped machine fitted in the back of the room, unlike anything I had seen before. This box had knobs of various sizes on it. Once, while my uncle was away, I turned the knobs. Suddenly, a loud noise unlike anything I had heard before, along with intermittent faint beeping sounds, started coming out.
Interested?
Whoa.
I turned away in embarrassment as if caught in a misdeed when he spoke from behind me. However, my uncle was looking at me with excited eyes.
It's called ham radio. With this, you can communicate with people all over the world. How about that? Isn't it cool?
With people all over the world.
Yo, that's right. You can have conversations with people on the other side of the earth through invisible signals. If you want to know more, I'll teach you everything from scratch.
From then on, I became addicted to ham radio. I clung to my uncle day and night, fascinated by this strange box I had never seen before and the sounds from the other side of the globe that came from it. When my uncle was out, I would spend the night in front of the radio, deeply engrossed in communication, often realizing it was morning before I knew it. That's when I started helping with my uncle's work. I would hop into the passenger seat of my uncle's pickup truck and travel around Fresno for electrical work. Since the pickup didn't have a car stereo, my uncle would bring a radio into the car, teaching me various things in tune with its broadcast. I think more than half of the important things in life I learned in those conversations with my uncle in the pickup.
Listen, Victor. The key is to think calmly. No matter how tough the situation, analyze the current state, identify the problems, hypothesize, and then test. If you can do this, you're not likely to fail.
However, my uncle passed away due to an unforeseen accident during construction work. I couldn't get the details from the contractors, but it seems my uncle became a casualty trying to save a colleague who had made a mistake. I felt an unbearable sadness and frustration. The irony of my uncle, who had dedicated his passion to his work as an electrician, dying because of electricity, was not lost on me. With no other relatives, I inherited my uncle's house and a pickup truck. This left me alone again. But it was different from when I had left my parents' house. I was now equipped with the skills and knowledge of an electrician that my uncle had taught me, and more importantly, a belief and love for my work. Finding a job wasn't hard. The semiconductor boom was happening at the time, and the United States electrical industry was still vibrant. I interviewed at several factories and was eagerly recruited by all for my demonstrated skills. Eventually, I got a job at one of the largest factories, a name familiar to anyone, though in hindsight, I think it was a mistake. Within a few months, I had adapted to the work itself. It was a simple task of inspecting parts carried by a conveyor belt, a no-brainer compared to electrical engineering work. However, the real problem lay elsewhere. It was the constant berating and physical punishment from the factory manager. Whenever he was in a bad mood, he frequently stopped the line and called me over.
Victor, come here.
Yes.
What's with that attitude? You look bored with your work.
Yes, I'm sorry.
You probably think anyone can do this simple job. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm the one employing you. You're still half-baked.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry isn't enough. Show me with your actions,
And with that, I'd receive a slap. On a good day, it would be 2, back and forth. This had become the routine. Yet, I was able to keep going because the pay was good. There was another reason I managed to continue working. It was meeting a woman who was in charge of the factory's accounting at the time. Her name was Ashley. Right after receiving a beating from the factory manager, Ashley would discreetly show concern for me and quietly offer me ointment where no one else could see.
I always see what's happening. It must be hard.
No, I'm used to it. Besides, the pay is good. I just think of it as including a bonus for the beatings.
That's too harsh. Please don't overdo it.
There was also a time when, after being slapped by the factory manager and bleeding from the mouth, Ashley gave me a handkerchief. Tucked inside the handkerchief was a note with her contact information, saying, "If there's anything I can do, please contact me anytime." Meeting Ashley certainly saved me in many ways. There's no doubt that she eased the feelings of gloom that had settled over me after my uncle's death. However, a decisive moment eventually arrived.
Hey, who did this?
One day, the factory manager stopped the line and yelled loudly enough for all the employees to hear. He is holding a significantly bent part in his hand.
If someone doesn't come forward now, I'll knock everyone down.
I knew who had checked that part. It was a new coworker next to me, who, upon stealing a glance, was biting his lip, trembling. If I remained silent, everyone here would undoubtedly end up getting slapped. Thinking this, I instinctively raised my hand.
It was me.
What?
I'm sorry. I overlooked it.
Do you realize what you've done?
Yes. I deeply apologize.
The factory manager stood in front of me and slapped me across the face. Not satisfied with just that, he turned and delivered a knee strike to my midsection. I couldn't breathe, and as I squeezed my eyes shut, tears naturally started to flow.
Oh, you're crying. Even now, you're trying to be the tragic hero. Though with that face, you're too ugly for it.
With a look of triumph, the factory manager kicked me in the stomach with the tip of his shoe and walked away. That night, as I was cleaning up alone, Ashley stayed until the end.
Good work.
Good work.
The factory manager is terrible, isn't he? He doesn't have to say things like that.
It's okay. It would have taken more time if things continued that way. And we were already behind schedule.
Actually, that wasn't your fault, was it, Victor?
I fell silent.
I saw Ken, who works next to you on the line, inspecting parts while staggering.
Someone had to take responsibility.
But you didn't have to take it upon yourself, Victor.
It's okay. I won't be here much longer.
What?
Perhaps I was being reckless. But thinking about quitting was the truth.
I'm thinking of leaving this company. There are more interesting things to do. I want to do what I love.
Ashley was a woman who chose her words carefully.
That sounds really good. I want you to do what you love. I believe in you, and you should too. But I'll miss you if you're gone.
Saying that, Ashley looked down.
If you'd like, why don't you quit with me? And we can start a new factory together.
Her cheeks blushed. Even in the dimly lit factory, I could tell.
If we could do that, I'd be so happy.
And so, I decided to resign from the company with Ashley and start a new factory. In 1989, the year the Berlin Wall fell, Ashley and I got married. As an aside, the year after I left, an assault case occurred at the factory, and that factory manager was apparently arrested. It might have been a matter of time. Ashley and I launched a factory manufacturing semiconductor parts in 1990. I took on roles in sales and as a technician. Ashley handled all the accounting. However, initially, the business didn't go well. We barely made ends meet, primarily through electrical work I took on personally, rather than orders for parts. It wasn't surprising. The semiconductor industry was showing a declining trend. Considering the cost of assembly, it was impossible for a new small company to afford equipment for producing cutting-edge parts, so we specialized in technical expertise rather than production capacity, taking on manufacturing of parts. I never thought the skills I acquired in electrical work would come in handy in such a place. Whether it was because of that strategy or just luck, companies started to place orders, hearing that there are skilled craftsmen in that factory. It might have been the most fulfilling time of my life. Waking up early, going to the factory, and silently holding the soldering iron by myself. Or facing the machines that polish parts. Returning late at night, barely eating before falling asleep with Ashley. On rare days off, I glued myself to the amateur radio I inherited from my uncle. I think Ashley was incredibly accepting of such a husband. In the endlessly rotating days like a conveyor belt, Ashley and I had a daughter.
It's a girl. Hey, what do you think we should name her?
How about Emily after Ashley?
Is it okay to name her after me?
Yeah, I prefer that. Gus, we named our newborn daughter Emily. Emily was born healthy. But it was around this time, perhaps, Ashley's body began to harbor illness.
Unfortunately, your wife's condition has reached stage 3. At this stage, surgery would likely be ineffective.
Ashley had suddenly complained of severe abdominal pain while at work and was urgently hospitalized nearby. I rushed to the hospital upon hearing the news. I remember how the doctor's voice sounded unnervingly impersonal. The doctor informed me that Ashley had terminal pancreatic cancer. Can Ashley live?
I can say for certain, a 5-year survival rate for stage 3 pancreatic cancer patients is about 6 to 7%.
Why does it have to be Ashley? The doctor didn't answer my question. Instead, he started writing something on the chart and began preparing for the next patient.
I'm sorry for causing such a fuss.
When went for a visit with little Emily, Ashley was lying in the hospital bed, shrinking in size, but still managing a smile. Wearing the hospital gown made the petite Ashley look even smaller. Don't apologize. You've done nothing wrong.
But I still have today's accounting work for the factory left to do.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. When a loved one falls ill, you realize the preciousness of everyday life. Ashley's illness made me realize how happy I had been. But why, of all people, did it have to be Ashley?
Emily, make sure to support your dad, okay?
Yes.
Even young Emily seemed to understand the situation and smiled without any worries.
And you believe in yourself. I believe what you're trying to do is right.
Stop it, don't be so formal.
No, I want to say it while I can.
Ashley was serious. The battle with her illness didn't last long. Perhaps that's what Ashley wanted. But now, there's no way to know for sure. Ashley's last expression was very peaceful. Ashley's glasses were placed inside her coffin, and I felt like I had lost everything. Had everything I'd done up to now been a mistake? I couldn't save Ashley. I had made her suffer. Maybe she wasn't happy. For a while, I couldn't focus on anything, not the machines I loved to tinker with, nor the amateur radio. The world seemed gray. Suddenly, while looking at the factory machines, I wondered what would happen if I stuck my head inside one of them. The machines I once loved and obsessed over now looked demonic. During those days of depression, I began to drown in alcohol. I knew I had to work, but my body wouldn't move. I started drinking from the morning and continued in a daze. Our savings ran dry, and without Emily knowing, I borrowed money from the newly popular consumer credit ATMs. Surprisingly, it was too easy to borrow money, which only made me feel more lost. I even thought it might be quicker to gamble with that money. Or I considered the worst-case scenarios. When I came home in a daze, the amateur radio was emitting noise. Perhaps the switch had been turned on by accident. But when I went to the room with the radio, Emily, who should have been at school, was standing in front of the desk, looking apologetic.
I just touched it a little, and now it won't stop.
I felt an overwhelming love for Emily. As soon as that thought crossed my mind, tears started flowing. I'm sorry, I haven't been able to do anything even though you're here, Emily. But Emily, unfazed by my sentimentality, was staring intently at the radio.
Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is a magical machine that lets you talk to people all over the world.
With people all over the world?
Yes, you can have conversations with people on the other side of the globe using invisible signals. If you want to know more, I'll teach you everything from scratch.
Really? Teach me.
Listening intently to the sounds coming from the radio, Emily's eyes sparkled with curiosity, and I saw a reflection of my younger self in her. That's right, Uncle. I remembered what my uncle taught me in the pickup truck.
Listen, Victor. The key is to use your head calmly. No matter how tough the situation, analyze the current state, identify the problems, formulate hypotheses, and then test them. If you can do this, you'll rarely fail.
My gray everyday life seemed to gradually regain its color. From that moment, I temporarily paused my electrical contracting work and shifted our core business to the manufacture of electronic machine parts. I focused on computer components. As personal computers became more widespread, I believed that an era was coming where everyone would carry a small computer with them at all times. Although we had fewer than 10 employees, they all respected my decision. About 10 years after deciding to shift our business, my factory was known in the industry for its high technical capabilities, becoming a well-regarded establishment among those in the know. The rapid growth of my factory in such a short period was largely due to the overall growth of the computer industry, especially the emergence of the smartphone in the United States, which experienced explosive growth. My factory had been developing small components for computers, but we adapted these components for smartphones, and the demand for these parts was tremendous. At that time, my daughter Emily was about to enter high school. She had been studying at a local public junior high school, where she consistently stood out for her academic performance. As a parent, I felt proud every time my daughter brought home perfect scores on her exams. When Emily brought home materials from a certain high school,
Dad, actually, I want to go to this school.
Looking at the materials, it was a prestigious private girls' high school affiliated with a well-known university. I was pleased that my daughter was thinking about her future so independently. At the same time, I reflected that supporting her through this application process was also a parent's duty. That sounds great. You should apply.
Really? Are you sure?
Is there a reason not to?
Well, there's the tuition fee.
Understanding Emily's concerns, I reassured her. Don't worry about money. Things are different now. The economy is good. Covering the tuition for one child isn't a big deal. Hearing this, Emily's face lit up with genuine happiness. And so, Emily successfully passed the entrance exams for the high school. However, this also meant that we would be spending thousands of dollars each year on tuition fees for the next 10 years. I braced myself for this. But my worries turned out to be unfounded. One day, as I was heading to work, one of my employees was frantically talking on the phone. Thinking it might be another weird complaint, I checked in only to find that the call was actually about something incredibly positive. What's going on?
Boss, you won't believe it. That big corporation wants to use our components in their new smartphones.
What? That big corporation was already a giant in the smartphone industry by then, although at the time it was still a name only known to a select few. Becoming a supplier for this company meant betting on a major business opportunity. What did they say on the phone?
They said they'll be visiting us soon and want to meet us in person to discuss.
We can't just sit here. Let's get ready. Everything went smoothly, and I successfully signed a contract with the corporation. The contract was worth millions of dollars. I was overwhelmed by the unprecedented amount, but knowing that this would allow me to provide for Emily filled me with joy. The fact that something I had created was in the hands of so many people still felt surreal. Uncle, I did it. Ashley, we did it. I reported our success and the hardships we overcame in front of their graves. I couldn't help but feel that both of them were smiling back at me. When the company's operations were well on track and Emily had become a college student, she came to me for advice, saying she was seeing someone. Hearing that her partner was the heir to a well-known bank, I thought I needed to dress appropriately for the occasion. So I arrived today in my uncle's keepsake light truck. To me, this truck is more valuable than any luxury car, which is why I was a bit upset. I apologize. After finishing my story, Jack, who was to become my son-in-law's father, was wide-eyed in disbelief. It seemed he was desperate to maintain his own pride.
Such fairy tales don't exist in reality.
If you think it's a lie, please feel free to check. It's all on our company's website. As I said that, Jack began to fiddle with his smartphone. And it didn't take long for him to realize the truth. He visibly deflated, losing all his earlier bluster. Though he acted like a mega bank president, I knew he was actually just a branch manager. He had probably tried to assert his status, acting more important than usual. To drive the point home, I added, The smartphone you're holding, made by that famous company, likely contains our parts. Thank you for always using them. After hearing that, Jack never spoke another word. Perhaps I had spoken too much. However, surprisingly, Jack's relatives seemed to take me in a positive light. Except for Emily, who seemed dissatisfied with how things went and chided me in the car on our way back.
You didn't have to say all that.
Really? Sorry. But wasn't he the one being unreasonable? If we let that slide, it would be like denying your mother's existence too.
No, I was happy you talked about it. But you didn't have to mention all those stories from when I was little in front of everyone.
Emily's face turned red, embarrassed. I see. But those things are important to me. Uncle, your mom, and you. You've all supported my life. I wanted to convey that properly. We both fell silent. The good thing about the light truck is that its engine noise drowns out any awkward silence. Feeling the oil smell and hearing the engine sound always brought me peace.
I'm thinking of calling off the engagement with him.
Is that so? The father was one thing, but his son seemed decent enough.
Yeah, he is decent. But sometimes, he treats me like a secretary or a maid, asking me to fetch things or memorize his schedule. I don't want to live like that.
Emily looked gloomy.
And actually, I really want to become a researcher in engineering, not just graduate college. I want to create new technologies to make people happy. But he doesn't seem to support me becoming a researcher. Maybe because I'm a woman.
Live the way you want to? I remembered what Ashley had once told me. Believe in yourself. Do what you love. I believe that what you want to do is right. I felt I understood how Ashley felt when she said those words to me. Time passed, and as expected, Emily's engagement fell through. Having their pride hurt was probably not easy for the other family. Emily seemed somewhat relieved when she told me it was over. To the world, it might seem like she missed out on a golden opportunity, but real happiness lies elsewhere. Afterward, Emily graduated from college and decided to go to a graduate school in the United Kingdom. Though I had braced myself, saying goodbye was still hard.
Don't look so gloomy. It's not like we'll never see each other again.
But still, seeing your daughter leave home is...
Okay, I'm going now. Take care.
Be careful. Call me if anything happens. Waving goodbye, Emily went through the boarding gate to her flight to the United Kingdom. Months after that farewell, though I had acted strong at the airport, I found myself feeling a profound sadness in Emily's empty room. To distract myself from the loneliness, I turned to my amateur radio. It's a long-standing habit that felt like a part of me since moving in with my uncle. Hello CQ, hello CQ, hello CQ, this is Ya4TOC. If anyone is listening, I'd appreciate a call back. Over. Soon after, I received a response from a station in the United Kingdom. It was a woman's voice.
Hello CQ, hello CQ, hello CQ. This is W2YA7KR. Go ahead.
I wondered when she had gotten her ham radio license. At first, I thought I had misheard because of my loneliness. But there was no mistaking it. I responded with my whole being to the voice of my beloved daughter, coming through this magical box. W2YA7KR, thank you for your response. I'm so glad to hear you're doing well. Love, your father.